Hello everyone, welcome back on my channel. Today we're gonna discuss the barbarian build. There have been a few changes since the last mod. We had broken companion gear that got fixed and new equipment from boss, the new rings. We're gonna give a look at it and see how it balances the stats and stuff like that. So disclaimer once again, this is an endgame build. It might not fit you, whatever. It's the build that works best for me, and I'm gonna explain to you how you can change it if you don't like the way I set up it, if that makes sense. So let's get started from ability scores. Strength and charisma, as usual. We don't need any dexterity. You can see my stats right here, and these are the stats with like the arms procced and stuff like that. I am already potioned up. So I got on Ratatouille, Watermelon Sorbet, Wildstorm, and Festive Potency, usual potions. The reason why I'm not capped on power is because for trials I rely on Manticore. The healers should always bring the Manticore to the group, and with the Manticore I'll be at like 55.1 k power. So I'll be capped and I'd have my over penetration active. This feat I'm talking about. You need to be capped on the rating of power and accuracy to make this feat work, and the rating is the one on the left, not the one on the right. As you can see, rating, that's the one you need to have. And when you have a Manticore in the group, you'll be capped with this build. And this is just to optimize your damage in a trial, because barbarian DPS are not a really strong DPS right now. They can still do pretty good, but I mean, to be quite fair, it's not even close to the top DPS. It's very far down the list. So I'm just trying to squeeze out every little bit of DPS, at least in trials, you know. And I'm not capped on combat advantage rating because I have literally no way of getting it even higher without losing on my other stats. I'm missing the accuracy boon in my guild, so I can't use it, and hence why I'm overcapped on crit strike. So this is the best I could do without the accuracy boon. This one right here. You can probably maximize your stats a bit better if you had it, but yeah, like it's not gonna do much anyway. So for the equipment, Sky Blazer on single target, extra combat advantage, always granted. It's great. You don't want Garissa Horns or Whisper Hood because they have stacks to build up and they're quite annoying. Devil's Ribcage is the best one by far. There are no competitors here. Lion Gar Arms rather than the Spiked Embraces, because you need that power to cap your rating. And it's pretty much always up once you stack it up in a trial, unless you die, obviously. Mirage weapons, they're the best ones for your personal DPS, and even if the group all had masterwork weapons, your damage would still be not as high as with Mirage. Like even giving you 10% with 100% uptime extra bonus damage, they still wouldn't be as good as the Mirage, though they make you get less damage. Like you get the extra 10% damage mitigation together with the 10% damage bonus, so that's kind of nice. For chill runs, Masterwork are probably the best set, the best weapon set. But if you want to go try hard on DPS, all the DPS should have Mirage weapons, and the supporters should have a Masterwork. Then for the feat, so I'm running Rusted Iron Leggings because I found my way out and tried to balance my stats with it. We really can't lose this damage bonus. We don't have a lot of them, so we trying to keep the few ones we can run. And if you switch and use the other boots, the one that give you 7500 combat advantage, I believe these are the ones. Yeah. You can use them, but they give you like a lot of stats and you're gonna lose 5% extra damage. So if you want to run and you don't want to rely on Manticore, you could run those boots, and you can move some of your combat advantage into power, switching assassins for black ices, and you'll be fine. You don't need to rely on Manticore and all that. But then you won't be optimized, so it depends on how much you want to try hard, and if the healers in your group run Manticores, stuff like that. So you could run them, but it's not for an optimal build. It's just for let's say way to run it safely. Like, I know I have all my caps all the time, but you're not gonna deal as much damage as me if we're in the same group and we have a Manticore, because I have 5% extra damage right here. And then for the set, you want to run a music box set in trials, and the other set, the Voss set, in 5-man content. That's the best way you can go about it. And music box set has great stats, and it's great for when you have windows with high debuffs. So like when you use artifacts in trials, to make it short. These are the 2 melee rings from Voss. They are great, so there's no questioning here. The only ring you could use while you're waiting to get one of these 2, you could use the old Tom rings, or the one that gives you escalating accuracy, like gives you 550 accuracy every time you hit, stacking up to 10 times. That one's decent, but I mean, the uptime is unreliable, so I don't quite like it. Then I'm using the power shirt, obviously, and pants, whatever you can get from D3 is fine. This build is done with the journals, but I'll show you. I can switch real quick to other 3 debuffs. Let's see, I'll put the diamond pin on, and as you can see, I'll still be capped on accuracy, and I'll still be capped on power with the Manticore in the group. So it doesn't really matter what I'm running. It was just to give a showcase of my tune with the journals on, but as I show you, you can also switch artifacts and the stats will be the same. You'll always be undercapped by 1k on combat advantage, and you'll always need the Manticore to cap the power, but with the Manticore in the group, you'll always have that bonus, so that's fine. It's a nice thing to rely on. For my enchantments, I'm running assassins in offensive slots, 1 Tenebrous obviously, and in defensive slots, all tacticals, and that's it. For your weapon enchantment, Bilethorn is the best one by far. Second best choice is probably the Fire Burst, but I mean, they don't even compare. And for my armor enchantment, Eclipse, just for quality of life. I like to run around and don't care about my stamina. I want my stamina back as soon as possible, and Bar Shield doesn't make that much of a difference anyway these days. So yeah, I also keep Eclipse in AoE, which is really nice, trust me. For my reinforcement kits, obviously power, accuracy, power, and power. My offhand has accuracy and recharge speed, because you don't need a forte and you don't need a crit save, so might as well take it. And breast strike modification on the main hand, obviously. You got combat advantage on your rings on your right side of the equipment. And moving on to powers. So powers as usual, Relentless Slash, use it once per rotation for the bonus. Breast strike, always spam it in rage, and when you're out of rage, use Bloodletter, IBS, Frenzy, not in this order, I just mentioned them as I found them. For your daily, your go-to daily for single target Savage Advance, AoE is Avalanche of Steel, and you got class features. These are both for AoE and single target, but yeah, Trample the Fallen, Steel Blitz. Steel Blitz is great because we have a lot of damage coming from at-wills. Trample the Fallen, so the first effect, you proc it with, the only skill you're using that procs it is Savage Advance. But the second effect, that the 10% extra damage to controlled enemies, that is activated by Storm during artifact phases and by Frost enchantment. The effect of the Frost enchantment on the enemy allows you to to get advantage of Trample the Fallen's second perk. So that's really nice. That's a thing that not a lot of people know. Then we have the feats. First one doesn't really matter, and the second and third, fourth, fifth are just as usual. Bloodletter, because you want it to become a decent encounter, and over penetration for the extra damage bonus. That's why we also cap on power rating, otherwise we wouldn't need that. Steel Slam, but this is just for AoE, so it doesn't matter. And a Relentless Battle Rage to have smooth rotations. Then moving up to the boons, it's all the way power and all the offensive stats. Obviously you don't need that much crit stuff, but it's still nice to start with quite a bunch of it. Even, you know, if your rib cage brings you to 90% and you're starting off with a little bit more of what you need, you're still gonna benefit from it in the first few hits, if that makes sense. And then yeah, defensive stats, because in trials you will need them. This is why I didn't pick the damage against blah blah blah. And movement speed for sure, and lingering medicine is a great boon. Have it, because when it procs, it's just like I believe like 30k or something like that of healing every second for 30 seconds. For my tier 5 boons, you don't need 40, so I went for action points and recharge speed. Master boons, obviously Bloodlust. Guild boons, Critical Strike is the only one I can use. Awareness, Revive Sickness, which is great in trials because you're gonna die sometimes. I mean, it would be great not to die, but guess what? It happens. Went for Acute Senses to increase my combat advantage when I'm in combat, like when I'm fighting. And these are the pieces that I got from Shattered Diamonds. So these ones don't come from bounties, they come from Shattered Diamonds. The bounties only give you the 2 stats ones. And these are my companions. Obviously, if you don't have the cat, you can rock the face spider and you'll be okay. Like, it's not a big difference anyway. Don't go spend that much money if you can't afford it. And okay, so accuracy on my mount, and these are my insignia bonuses. 2 Assassin's Covenants for stats cap, 2 Warlord's Inspiration, because your companion is quite a bit of your damage, of your total damage. I would say about 15% when you're running 6 Indomitables and 2 Warlord's Inspiration. And Artificer Persuasion, because it lets you have a smoother rotation during artifact phases. Yeah, my 5 colors, I use them on all the tunes, so don't mind it having like outgoing healing, because I use it on my healer as well. And that's it. I think I forgot to show you that I'm using all Indomitables, but that's pretty straightforward. And this is pretty much it. So for I just wanted to show you the rotation on single target, which is the same as last mod, but anyway. So if you're in a trial, what you do is as soon as you're in, you use Bloodletter, IBS to build up some rage, and then you pop it, you pop your artifact, it goes Lash, you can use your daily, then you go Frenzy, Bloodletter, IBS, pop, and use Tunnel Vision. This is what I do. While when you're not in an artifact window, what you do is much easier. Let's say I'm just waiting for my encounters to come back. Okay, you're not in an artifact phase, what you do is Slash, Frenzy, Bloodletter, IBS, and then pop your rage, spam Breath Strike, and wait for your rage to deplete. And when it's completely depleted, then you go Slash, Bloodletter, IBS, Frenzy. This is the only order that works for me, because otherwise you wouldn't get the encounters back in this order. And then you're out of rage, you go Bloodletter, IBS, pop your rage again, because the cooldown of Frenzy is too much to wait for it. And when you're out of rage, Slash again, Frenzy, and you'll have Bloodletter, IBS, and you can do it all over again. And this is it. So again, for my potions, I already show you what I'm using. my stats in combat. I guess I could show you, but it depends if the crits are, if the extra combat advantage procs, if the sky blazer procs. So I mean, it's not so reliable, but you know, let me just get a few hits in and see if I can show you what the stats look like. Okay, so this is pretty much it, and it's decent. Obviously, Barbs don't have the best stats, but it is what it is. And also, what you can do if you want to try hard big time, you can use overloads. Obviously, the best ones would be Devil's Precision and Rage of Flames to have your best damage. But again, if you want to go the cheap way like I do most of the times when I'm not speedrunning and shit, go for Corrupt. And I think that's it. Just gonna show you my AoE loadout real quick. Someone was wondering what I was using on AoE. So let's see what I'm using different from single target. I'm using Voss set. As I told you, it's the best one for 5-man content, and obviously like in trials you don't have any AoE to deal with, so it's great to have it in 5-man. And then Whisper Hood of the Quiet, I'm not using Garistro because you can't stack it all the way anyway. You can't stack it all the way up anyways. You don't have that like strong hits on AoE, so you're even lucky if you can proc it. And for Voss, obviously you want to use the 5% extra damage in all Sharandar, but you know, 5-man content is not only Voss, so if you need something that works in all the type dungeons, just go for the Whisper Hood. And then Blessed, the Ribcage as usual, Icy Arms. It won't be too bad to use Van Braces if you want spiked Van Braces in AoE. That's up to you, to be honest. I'm using Masterwork Weapons just because I don't have the Burning set. The Burning set is the best one for Barbs on AoE. It allows you to get back 25% of your action points when you use it daily with a 30 seconds internal cooldown. And I'm using Lightning on my weapon because it's a lot of extra damage on AoE. You'll definitely notice if you can purchase Lightning and try it on any 5-man content. It really does make a difference. And then Primal Boots, not everyone owns it. They can't be bought anymore. They're not at the Seal Trader anymore. So if you have them, nice, use them. They'll give you a shit ton of action points, and those are your main source of action points together with the Envenomed. If you don't have them, use Rusted Iron Leggings, because that's really what you're gonna go with. Envenomed and 3 journals for the Lost Mouth set on AoE. You have way more hits on AoE and they're much weaker compared to single target. So every crit you can get in, you get a Lost Mouth proc. That's awesome. Then we go with 2 melee rings, and I'm just using Stamina Shirt, like the Power Shirt, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. I'm using a lot of my stamina anyway, so I doubt it's gonna be more than a 50% uptime. But what I can tell you is that even if you have the AP shirt, it won't help you that much, because you need to hit your enemy for more than 15% of your health to proc it, and it's not easy, I swear. So yeah, that one's not great either. Moving on to the powers, I'm keeping the same class features. Obviously, Trample the Fallen is much easier to have up on AoE thanks to Not So Fast and the fact that every class basically has control powers that can allow you to make use of the second effect of Trample the Fallen as well. And I'm not using over penetration, and the reason why is it's really hard to cap your power because you get hit, so your Icy Arms stacks drop a bit sometimes, and you're not gonna always have your stamina, so you're gonna lose 5k power from it. So I just go with brutal critical instead of over penetration, because I just gave up on the idea of having it up all the time. It's honestly not worth it. The rest of the feats are the same. For encounters, I go with Mighty Leap, not so fast. For your third encounter, according to the situation, if there's a big guy, every group of mobs, you're gonna use Bloodletter. But if there's not, I mean, you could also use Frenzy if you like, it's just too slow for me. But if there's not a big guy and all the mobs have pretty much the same health, go with Axe Stone. Moving on to the boons, I just moved some of the hit points boons to Demonic Mastery for increased damage against fiends and undeads. Also, lowering your hit points allows you to proc your rib cage a bit easier, so that's good. Companions, I have Xuna on. Cold Iron Warrior is useless on AoE. For single target, the best ones are Cold Iron Warrior, Mercenary, or whatever you can get, like Black Ice Prospector or Air Ashen are decent too. Use whatever you have, don't bother spending millions to get something you don't have just to get some extra bit of DPS. It's honestly not worth it, and I'm telling you. Use what you have. If you don't have any for single target, buy a Mercenary. If you have both of them, use Cold Iron Warrior, because that's the best one. For AoE instead, Xuna. If you don't have Xuna, I would guess go with a Mystagogue, and that's it. But there are not a lot of companions good on AoE, to be fair. Yeah, I changed my enhancement to Critical Strike, because on AoE you won't have combat advantage up all the time. The uptime on combat advantage is shit on AoE situations, so that's why I changed. And that's also why I changed some of my companions, using more accuracy and more crit chance. For mounts, I'm using Wings. You can use Carpet as well, whatever fits you. And I moved just to have some insignias, to have 2 Gladiator Skies instead of 1 Warlord, instead of 2 Assassin's Covenants. But you can do it either way. Like, you can use 1 Covenant, 1 Warlord, and 2 Gladiators. I'm using 2 Warlords because Xuna is pretty strong. And that's it, guys. So I hope this video helped you. It's not much of a difference from the last mod, but yeah, you know, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And have a good one, guys. Enjoy your Barb and enjoy your life. See you next time.